In this class, we are going to discuss about the properties of matter waves. Properties of matter waves. And later, we have to discuss about the Davis and Germer's experiment, which is an experimental evidence for the concept of matter waves. So, in this class, I am going to discuss about the properties of the matter waves. The first, we know that the wavelength of the matter wave is given by lambda is equal to h by mv. The wavelength of the matter wave is given by lambda is equal to h by mv. So, lighter is the particle, greater is the wavelength. We can say lighter is the wave mass, lighter is the particle, greater is the wavelength, because mass is in the denominator. Lambda is equal to h by mv. If mv is small, lambda becomes high or lambda becomes maximum. So, the first property we can say that as the lighter is the particle, the greater is the wavelength associated with it. The lighter is the particle, the greater is the wavelength associated with the particle. So, when do we expect this type of wavelength? When the particle is in motion. When the particle is in motion, it behaves like a wave with wavelength lambda. If for such a particle, if lighter is the mass, lambda is the greater is the wavelength of the matter wave associated with that particle. That is the important point here. Next, the smaller is the velocity of the particle, the greater is the wavelength associated with it. The second term is v in the denominator. V is the velocity. If v is small, lambda is large. If v is small, since it is in the denominator, lambda is large. That means if smaller is the velocity of the particle, the greater is the wavelength associated with it. This is the second property. And the third one is, we can, by observing this expression, we can say that if v is equal to 0, lambda is equal to infinity or indeterminate. If v is equal to 0, that means velocity is equal to 0, that means the particle is at rest, then lambda is infinite, that is, the wave becomes indeterminate. The wave becomes indeterminate. And if v is equal to if v is equal to infinity, then lambda is equal to 0. If v is equal to infinite, lambda is equal to 0. If v is equal to 0, lambda is equal to infinite. Lambda infinite means the wave is indeterminate. If v is equal to infinite, lambda is equal to 0. That means we can observe the wavelength if and only if the particle is in motion. If we can observe the wavelength or the matter waves is generated by the particle when it is motion. When it is motion. This is the third characteristic property or the third property of the matter wave. And also, the velocity of the matter wave depends upon the velocity of the matter particle. It is not a constant like velocity of light. The velocity of the matter wave, depends upon the velocity of the particle. The velocity of the particle. It is not constant. For different particles which are moving with different velocities will exhibit different types of waves. The velocity of the matter wave depends upon the velocity of the particle. So this is the fourth property. And the fifth one is the velocity of matter wave is greater than the velocity of light, because E is equal to h nu and E is equal to mc square. E is equal to h nu and E is equal to mc square gives nu is equal to mc square by h, gives nu is equal to mc square by h, mc square by h. But velocity of the matter wave is given by w is equal to nu lambda. The velocity of the matter wave is given by w is equal to nu lambda, nu into lambda. Here lambda is the wavelength of the matter wave, nu is the frequency of the matter wave, w is the velocity of the matter wave. The velocity of the matter wave is given by nu lambda. In intermediate or in the lower classes, we in case of sound, we know that V is equal to n lambda. V is equal to n lambda in case of sound, as we learn in lower classes. N is the frequency, lambda is the wavelength. Similarly here, V is equal to, V is replaced with W, is equal to frequency into wavelength. The product of frequency and wavelength gives the velocity. Therefore, W is equal to nu lambda. Here nu is the frequency of the matter wave. So, but nu is equal to mc square by h and lambda is equal to h by mv. Therefore, W is equal to mc square by h into h by mv. This is equal to c square by v. C square by v. Here c is the velocity of light and v is the velocity of the particle. Since the velocity of the particle is always less than the velocity of the particle, because it cannot exceed the velocity of light. The velocity of the particle cannot exceed the velocity of light. Therefore, W is always greater than C. W is greater than C. That means the velocity of the matter wave is greater than the velocity of light. In the sixth property is the wave and particle aspects of moving bodies cannot appear together in the same experiment. The wave and particle aspects of the moving bodies can never appear together in the same experiment. So, and also the seventh property, the concept of matter waves introduces an uncertainty in the location of the position of the particle. The concept of matter waves leads uncertainty in the location of the position of the particle. Uncertainty in the location of the position of the particle. These 7 points are the properties of matter waves. Once again, I will try to repeat these all 7 points. 1. Lighter is the particle, greater is the wavelength. That means if m is small, lambda is large. m is small, lambda is large. And the second property, if smaller is the velocity, greater is the velocity. Smaller is the velocity, greater is the wavelength, not velocity, sorry. Lighter is the particle, greater is the wavelength. Smaller is the velocity of the particle, greater is the wavelength associated with. And the third property is the matter waves are generated when the particle is in motion. When the third point is the matter waves are generated if and only if the particle is in motion. And the fourth point is the velocity of the matter wave depends upon the velocity of the particle, but it is not constant for all particles, just like as the velocity of light. Velocity of matter waves is not a constant one like electromagnetic wave or light wave. It is variable. It depends upon the velocity of the particle. And the fifth one is the velocity of the matter wave is always greater than the velocity of light. The velocity of the matter wave is always greater than the velocity of the light. This is because no particle, the velocity of the particle can never exceed the velocity of light. And also the sixth one is these two properties, that is the particle and wave nature of the wave nature do not appear together in the same experiment. We cannot observe these properties simultaneously in the same experiment. So, in the experiment in which the wave nature is observed, the particle nature is absent. In an experiment in which the particle nature is observed, the wave nature is absent. And the seventh point is the concept of this matter waves introduces an uncertainty in the location of the position of the particle, because a wave cannot be set exactly at a point or exactly at another point. So, just like a particle, we cannot say that the wave is exactly at a particular point, this point or that point, just like as a particle. So, this leads, the concept of matter wave leads an uncertainty in the location of the position of the particle. Now, I am going to discuss about Davison and Germer's diffraction experiment or Davison and Germer's experiment. Now, we are going to discuss about Davison and Germer experiment. Davison and Germer experiment. This is a good experiment to establish the wave nature of the electrons. To establish the wave nature of the electrons, we can say that this is an experimental evidence for matter waves. This is an experimental evidence for matter waves. This experiment is performed by the American physicist Davison and Germer during 1927. That means recently. This experiment is performed by Davison and Germer, the American physicists, during 1927. So, the concept behind this is the electrons, when they are in motion, they behave like waves. If it is a wave, if electrons behaves like a waves, they exhibit the wave nature like interference and diffraction. Like interference and diffraction. So, in this, the interference effect of the electron waves is observed. If it is true, if the experiment coincides with the interference property of the if the experimental result accepts the interference property, that means electrons behaves like waves. The experimental arrangement is like this. This is a filament which is the source of electron. This is target. This is target. The electrons emitted by the filament will incident on the target and reflected along this line. This is the ionization chamber and this is the galvanometer. So the intensity of the reflected electrons is observed at different locations. The intensity of the reflected electrons is observed at different colatitudes. The angle itself is called as colatitude. So at different colatitudes, and here the Faraday cylinder or ionization chamber, which is helpful for us to identify the intensity of the waves which are passing through the cylinder, which are passing through the chamber. If the intensity is more, the galvanometer deflection, the galvanometer suddenly shows a high deflection. When the intensity becomes more high, the deflection in the galvanometer also becomes high. So at different points, the intensity is observed by the galvanometer, which is calibrated in terms of intensity. So the potential difference between the filament and the target, the electrons from the filament are accelerated by applying different potentials across these 2 points as shown in the diagram. By applying this potential difference, the electrons were accelerated. By means of this potential difference, the electrons were accelerated. The accelerated electrons, while hitting the target, are reflected back and entered into the cylinder. At different colatitudes, the intensity is observed. A graph is drawn between the colatitude and intensity, and the graph is called as polar graph. So at 44 volts potential difference, that means when the potential difference is applied between these 2 points is 44 volts, the intensity is observed at different colatitudes. That means at different angles. And all those points are, when they are connected, we will get a line like this. That means intensity increases gradually and becomes maximum, and again decreases and again increases slowly. At different colatitudes, the variation of intensity of the electron waves in the ionization chamber varies like this. That means at a particular colatitude, say 50 degrees, there is a sudden rise in the intensity. If the potential difference is further increased, that is at 48 volts, the same phenomenon is observed, but the rise at 50 degrees colatitude becomes the rise at 50 degrees increases when compared with that in 44 volts. And also, if the potential difference is raised to 54 volts, the bump becomes maximum at the same colatitude 50 degrees. At the same colatitude 50 degrees, the bump becomes maximum. If the potential difference is further increased to 60 volts, we will get the same graph, but the bump diminishes. The bump diminishes. So, in this we can observe that at a particular potential difference, and at a particular colatitude, the bump becomes maximum. At this point, the wavelength of the matter wave is given by lambda is equal to 12.26 by root v. Lambda is equal to 12.26 divided by root v, that is equal to 12.26 divided by square root 12.26 divided by square root of 54. Square root of 54, which is equal to 1.67. Which is equal to 1.67. That means if it is a matter wave, if the electron is a matter wave, its wavelength is 1.67 angstrom units. Its wavelength is 1.67 angstrom units. So, from X-ray analysis, the intensity of the X-rays becomes maximum. If these are the X-rays, then also we will get the same experiment. But X-rays, in case of X-rays, we will observe the interference nature of the X-rays. So, at that particular angle, the X-rays will satisfy the Bragg's equation, that is lambda is equal to 2d sin theta. Lambda is equal to 2d sin theta. Let us repeat this experiment with X-rays. Then, if the colatitude is again 50 degrees, then these X-rays will give interference effect. The interference effect, we will get intensity maximum during constructive interference. For that constructive interference condition, where the path difference, by calculating the path difference between the two successive rays, is lambda is equal to 2d sin theta. By using this equation, this lambda is equal to 1.65. That means in case of nickel target, if we use electrons, the intensity becomes maximum at an angle 50 degrees, at which the wavelength of the matter wave is 1.67. So, with the help of in X-ray analysis, it is found that at that angle constructive interference takes place, and according to that interference theory, the expression for maximum intensity is given by lambda is equal to 2d sin theta. Substituting the respective values of d and theta, we will get lambda is equal to 1.65 angstrom units. So, these two values are nearly equal. That means here the electrons are also behaves like the X-rays. That means electron, when they are in motion, exhibit wave properties. These wave properties and also the wavelength of the electron satisfies both the Bragg's equation as well as the de Broglie's expression, or lambda is equal to 12.26 by root V. So in this we can conclude that the electrons coming from the filament behave like waves. This is nothing but the wave nature of the electrons. By this we can conclude that the moving charged particle behaves like waves. So once again, let us discuss this experiment. This is an experimental evidence for matter waves. What is a matter wave? Matter wave is the wave when the particle is in motion. The particle which are in motion will exhibit wave nature. That wave is called as matter wave. If it is a wave, it exhibits interference. We can observe the interference nature of the waves. So if it is a wave, we can observe the wave nature of the electrons in this experiment. So if it is a particle, it behaves like a matter wave, and the wavelength is given by lambda is equal to h by mv, which is equal to 12.26 by root v for an accelerated charged particle or electron. Here V is the potential difference applied. So we can observe that the intensity suddenly becomes maximum when the potential difference is 54 volts and the colatitude is 50 degrees. That means if the potential difference is 54 volts, the wavelength of the electrons it must be equal to 1.67 angstrom unit. So let us think about the X-rays. If we use X-rays in this experiment at 50 degrees colatitude, the diffracted X-rays will interfere with each other. The diffracted X-rays from different layers in the nickel target will interfere in this ionization chamber and gives constructive interference. That interference condition is given by the Bragg as lambda is equal to 2d sin theta. Substituting the values of theta and d, we can get the value of lambda as 1.65 angstrom units. Since these two values are excellently coincides with each other, we can say that the electrons which are emitted by the filament will exhibit they behave like X-rays. So the concept of wave nature of electrons is true. This is the conclusion of our Davison and Germer's experiment.